Today is Monday, September 2nd. We're going to learn a new section. This is Chapter 2, Section 2, Translating Between Words and Math. Make sure that you have your class notes out and open to the appropriate section. Write this heading at the top. Okay, so this section is a little bit about translating, it's reading word problems, okay, and looking for keywords within word problems. So how many of you feel like this whenever you see a word problem? I found this e-card and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I actually laughed out loud. So how I see math word problems. If you have 4 pencils and I have 7 apples, how many pancakes will fit on the roof? Purple, because aliens don't wear hats. So if any of you feel that way with word problems, we're going to try to take it slow, take it piece by piece, and look for key words to help you figure out what they're actually asking within the word problem. Okay, so now I want you to take a look at this page. We have the left column says words, and then operation, and then examples. So words for addition would be sum, plus, added to, more than. So anytime you read those word problems and you see these key words in there, find the sum of this, or this plus this number. That's going to mean addition. So an example is 32 plus 5. All that's saying is 32 plus addition 5. And x plus 15, we could say that as 15 added to x. With the minus or the subtraction row, okay, we have minus, take away, difference of, less than. So s minus 12 is saying 12 less than s. And 11 minus 5 is 11 minus 5. The multiplication row, we have times multiplied by the product of. So anytime I say find the product of 12 and a, that means multiplication. So to the right we have 12a. If you notice, there's not a multiplication symbol in here. The 12 and the a are right next to each other, but that still means multiplication. It still means 12 times a. Then we have 3 times 6, and we could say this as the product of 3 and 6. Finally, division, we have divided by and the quotient of. So I've stressed to the last couple of classes about the quotient, right? Find the quotient of this. The quotient just means the answer to a division problem. So if it's ever saying the quotient of, you know you're dealing with division. For the first example, I have 125 divided by 5. So we could say this as the quotient of 125 and 5. Or if I had n divided by 3, that's obviously going to be written out as n divided by 3. Those words shouldn't be too new for most people. Everybody should have some exposure to those words. And that seems pretty straightforward and pretty easy when we see it in a table like that. But now let's work on solving problems, okay? This number 1, it wants us to write an expression. All right, so Holly bought 10 comic books. I always like to underline things as I go. That way I can organize them in my brain. So she bought 10 comic books. She gave a few of them to Kyle. So C equals the number she gave to Kyle. So I'm going to write C equals number gave to Kyle. We always need a label. That way we know what these variables mean. So write an expression for the number of comic books that Holly has left. So think about this in your everyday life, okay? I gave, let's see, Maria Alejandra, I gave her 5 comic books. So what would I do to solve? If I have 10 comic books, and I gave Maria Alejandra 5 of them, then how many do I have left? I know you're thinking 5 in your head, but we need to write an equation, an expression for this. So for Holly here, she had 10, she gave C to Kyle, so it's 10 minus C. That's going to give me the number of comic books that Holly has left. All right, let's go to number 3. Okay, the temperature dropped 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it went up 3 degrees Fahrenheit. So in my head, I'm thinking it dropped 5, and then it went up 3. Let T represent the beginning temperature. So T, that like equals original temp. Write an expression to show the ending temperature. Okay, so for this one, I want you to think in real life as well. Okay, you wake up one morning and the temperature starts at T. Okay, that's where we're starting, T. It drops 5 degrees. So dropped tells us that it's minus 5. Okay, it went down 5 degrees. And then it went up. That up tells us plus 3. So we have T minus 5 plus 3, and that'll give us the ending temperature. Okay, number 2 says, last week, Peter worked 40 hours for $15 an hour. Write a numerical expression for the total amount Peter earned last week. So if we're thinking about having a job and making money, I'm going to make $15 an hour. And so if I worked 40 hours in 1 week, one way to do this would do 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15, so on and so on and so on, 40 times. Okay, I don't want to do all that work. I want to make my life easy. I don't like to work that hard if I don't have to. So all that we need to do is 40 times $15. This is going to give us the total amount that Peter earned last week. Okay, so if we work this out, then you should have had $600. Okay, but we're not done with the problem yet. It says, write an algebraic expression to show how much Peter earns in H hours at that rate. So now I think about it, and I have to make H equal to something. And here it says H equals hours. So I'm going to write that down. H equals hours. I'm going to know how much Peter earns in H hours. I figured out how much he earns in 40 hours. So all I need to do is plug in H for 40. So it's going to be $15 times H. We could write it like this. We could say 15 times H. We could also say, let's see if I have room, I'll write it sideways. 15 times H, like that. Any of these works. Alright, now let's look at the fourth and final example. So Terry baked 48 cookies and divided them evenly into bags. Let N represent the number of cookies Terry put in each bag. Write an expression for the number of bags she filled. The key word here is divided. Okay, so anytime you see keywords in your problems, I want you to underline that, divided. So that means I'm doing 48 divided by N, because N is number of cookies. Whoops, number of cookies, and that's in each bag. So 48 divided by N, that's going to give me how many cookies are in each bag. So write the expression for the number of bags she filled. This means we could have had 48 divided by N like this. We can also write it like 48 over N. Most of you are used to seeing this as a fraction, but it means division. It's the same thing as 48 divided by N. Any of these ways, we could have write it 1, 2, or 3 ways, and that's perfectly fine. This is going to be the last part of your homework. Okay, you have numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I want you to try these on your own. You're going to circle the letters of the correct answer, so A, B, C, or D for 5 and 7, and then F, G, H, J for 6 or 8. Okay, read them over. Do your best, underline, if need be, the keywords or write keywords down. Take your time, don't get mixed up, and we're going to check them in class tomorrow. Have a good night.